Hello, everyone, and welcome to the week 13. Yeah, wow, 13. Interesting. I'm joined today by Joel Gibson. He's down here in the corner of the screen. I'm feeling pretty good. How you feeling, Joel Gibson?
I'm feeling fucking great. 4 straight wins. Put it in the calendar. We're coming for win number 5. Just you look out.
It
Shit's
is
turning around.
It is getting so insane out there in the East. I don't even know what to do. Let's get right into it this week. We start out with the reigning champs matchup, and it's an upset. A brutal upset for Cody. Cody takes the loss here at Hobert. Hobert, the false champ, is just giving it to Cody this week. And let me say, his players did play really well. He should be proud this week, seriously.
On the other end, I don't think Cody should be as proud. His team was not that good this week. Aaron Gordon's a problem. CJ McCollum missed a couple games. Holmes got injured. And Kat has just been taking her easy. Holiday was injured too. It was a tough week for Cody.
Yeah, that trade doesn't look great, especially with John Morant putting it up this week as well for Doug. And I think you got a full swing of that.
Yeah.
Basically,
I sure did.
Basically, Matt moves to 6-6. He's at 500. Cody moves to 7-5. He is still number 1 in the East, and I want to clear things up because we talked about it a little bit in the Messenger this week. The tops of the divisions are the 1 and 2 seed. We need to remember that every year. We do our ranking system just based on overall record and talent, but we need to remember that each division is playing for that 1 and 2 seed. Cody still sits at that 2 seed at 7-5.
It helps get off to a hot start, that's for sure.
Absolutely. The next game is definitely going to have to be Steven beating CJ. This matchup was huge for 2 reasons. Steven moves ahead by 1 game over CJ and also ties up the series 1-1. It comes down to conference between them if they have the tied record. Right now they don't. Steven, huge Monday. I will still make the point that the Monday scared CJ away from cycling. I make this point. It's a really interesting one. CJ's not afraid to do 7 acquisitions. You only saw 3 from him this week, and maybe those other 4 could have turned the tide. But Steven having such a big Monday had to have impacted CJ's decision. What do you think, Joel?
Yeah, it's real tough when you look at the box score and you see 2 triple-doubles posted against you on the same night in the same game.
The 2 largest 40-point triple-doubles in NBA history. In NBA history, just put it on him after the first night.
It can be mildly disheartening. That said, leaving those ads on the table this late in the season ended up hurting Siege.
It's interesting. He also missed a lineup set today. There was one player he didn't end up playing because of the early start time. Not that it mattered, but I just want to point that out as well. That's a potential 5th game that he left on the table. Yeah, Steven was giving him the business on Monday. You and I talked about it in the manager's note. We knew Steven was going to mention week 1 and hating it, and he did. I believe he posted the salt emoji in the messenger because he was so upset about the week 1 rule. He was very upset. He did what he said he was going to do. Congrats to Steven, 9-3. That's a good record. And his team's rolling right now.
Taking care of business.
CJ moves to 8-4. That puts him firmly in the number 4 seed by 2 full games. So,
We'll just have to see.
Yep. Live to fight another day. Next matchup, I had down here Kyle at Neiman because I was convinced Kyle was going to win this matchup. Neiman's playoff hopes are still alive by tying Kyle 4-4-3. He wins at home. This is why home court counts, man. He was 1 steal away from his season being completely over.
Man, he's so lucky that, what's his name? Who's that center? White guy.
Zeller. Cody Zeller.
Walked into a steal today. What luck.
That is insane. You and I were watching for like the last 3 quarters. We were like, Zeller could get a steal. Nothing from Zeller. Nothing. It could.
Well, I got mixed up. Zeller was on Kyle's team.
Right.
I thought he might just get one more and just elevate Kyle to 2 and 10, but it was not meant to be.
Kyle ends up making 2 trades today as well. We'll throw that on there. Shout out to Kyle. He is still just churning out assets from that shitbag team. I do not know what's going on over there, but he just keeps doing it.
Yeah, he's like that corner store that doesn't sell anything good, but somehow is always busy.
I know, I agree. And I also, Neiman also traded today. Watch out for Neiman. He's more healthy than he normally is now. I traded him Richardson. Freddie's been out. Just look out. Look out for Neiman at the bottom there. He's ready to roll. Disregard what he posted in the messenger about ready to sell out. Disregard. Next matchup is going to be Doug losing to Joel Gibson, as you alluded to earlier. This is absolutely nuts. Joel Gibson has won 4 straight. I do not understand what's happening. Kyrie played today. He shot fucking 91% for... I do not know what to make of this. Kyrie, they said he couldn't lift his shoulder a week ago. Comes out and makes 9 of 10. Might just save Joel's season. We'll see how it goes.
Do you believe in heroes, Brandon Morrison? Because he's coming in to save this fucking season. This week, I just kind of looked at the score, and I said, you know what? I got these 5 cats. I don't got to do anything fancy. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to hold my waiver wire money, and I'm really happy with the guys on my team. It's really come together. Garland looks nice. I made a trade myself, picked up myself some Kevin Love. Here in Ohio, he's fairly popular, even with his outbursts. I like it. I dare I say I love it.
Yikes.
We brought him on board. We're rocking and rolling. You're in trouble now, fellas.
Doug cannot justify revenge Joel. Joel now has the absolute 2-0 record against Doug. Not a good look for Doug. He left Beal on the bench, although it turned out, or on the IR today, it turned out not to matter very much. It came down to steals at the end. And, Doug not having Beal for most of the week was tough.
Yeah, not great. John Morant was pretty good, but we also saw Paul George get injured again.
Yeah. And let me tell you, we at Team Mr. Modest just hates to hear about all these injuries happening of late. Let me just briefly say that I beat Eric this week. It was a pretty handed victory. He thought he was going to be fancy and start up the cycle, but then he just gave up. He gave up in the middle of the week. He was like, I have no chance. So I played 2 down all week. Bryant's healthy. Bag's healthy. We've got 2 new guys coming in. Really like their steals and really like their fire, Joel Gibson. Eric moves to 2 and 10, and he remains the 11th seed. And Kyle, 1 game ahead at that 12 spot there. So kudos to him. He did acquire that keeper spot, though, which I do want to make a note for next year. Having Wall, Curry, Clay, and KD all on the same team next year at I think it's $54 or something like that is extremely large. Very risky because of the injuries. But who knows? Good trade from him, though.
Yeah, very interesting.
I'm 11-1. I'm the 1 seed. That's the last thing I'll say.
Sitting pretty up there.
Yeah, well, Steven's starting to make me nervous. I have a showdown with him in 3 weeks. And, 2 weeks, really, this week versus CJ, Kyle, then Steven. So I am a little nervous about the situation, but we're going to be all right. We'll see how it goes. Next matchup is Adam losing to Simmons. This win is big for Simmons. Adam moves down to 5-7. That's a tied record with Neiman in the 9-10 spot, one game behind all of the rest of you at 6-6. The Embiid news is obviously not great, especially because they'll likely try to rest him a little more towards the end of the season, in my opinion. We'll see how it goes, but in my opinion. Zion's going to be slow getting back. There are a few holes in Simmons' wagon there. Also, his conference record, just as a note, 2-4. I'll get to that in a minute, but that's going to play a big part. What do you think, Joel?
Simmons looks pretty good to me outside the Embiid injury. Favors, is he back yet? Is he?
He's questionable. He's questionable. Yeah.
He's pretty important, but I still really like most of the guys on this team. If they're all playing well, he's no cakewalk.
That's for sure. I mean, absolutely. He's putting up good lines and enough to beat Adam. I just like pointing out the negatives, that's all. So, after this week, let's just keep in mind that these rankings, I'm going to start incorporating that 1 and 2 are going to be the top 2 divisions into the rankings. The reason why this week was so difficult is 5 through 8 are all tied at 6-6, all tied at 500 records. And the ties, just as a little list, are as follows. Matt has the tiebreaker over Joel and Simmons, but he lost to Doug. Simmons has beaten Joel, but Doug has beaten Simmons. And then Joel has beaten Doug twice. So any way you slice it, there is 2 victories essentially for each of you, but there is at least 1 loss for each of you. I think that might be at least 2 losses for each of you, except for Matt, which only has 1 loss out of all 4 of you. That's interesting. But anyway, that explains why these conference records are as they are. So let's say hypothetically you all 4 are tied going towards the playoffs. The 4 conference records for you guys are Matt at 4-2, Joel and Doug at 3-3, and Simmons is at 2-4. So remember, if any of you tie and you both have tied your overall record for the season, it goes to conference play, and those conference records become super big. The next tiebreaker is total points, which Doug clearly has an advantage, mainly because most of you have been injured a lot this season.
Yeah.
So that's just the way I organize 5 through 8. Obviously, I have me at the 1, Cody's at 2, Steven's at 3, CJ's at 4, and then you've got Matt at 5, Joel at 6, Doug at 7, Simmons at 8, and then 9 and 10 are Adam and Neiman at 5 and 7. Adam has the tiebreaker over Neiman, should we get that far. And as always, Eric is 11 at 2 and 10, and Kyle is 12 at 1 and 11. So that's just a general summary of the standings right now. Pretty specific this week. Anything?
I'm staying at the 6, boys. I was the 10 not long ago. Fuck right off. I'm rising up them standings.
And 1 game out of the 2 seed, believe it or not.
I fucking believe it.
That's insane. Anyway, next week, great matchups all over the place. Starting with the reigning champs matchup, Matt at Adam. This is big for Matt. He does not want to take a loss to Adam here. Matt's getting pretty healthy, and his team's been playing pretty well. So I'm going to stick with Matt here. I think he's going to win.
I'm going to pick Matt as well. I believe that I have 4 straight wins. I believe that Matt has been streaking the entire time with me. We've just been streaking together.
I believe so. You guys are kind of getting healthy at the same time. It's cute. You guys are cute.
Yeah, we enjoy streaking. So I'm going to pick him to continue streaking.
Excellent. The next matchup, for me at least, is going to be CJ number 4 at me. The only reason why I think this is important is I could lock up the 1 seed with a win here and a win next week against Kyle. So that'll make Steven and I's matchup irrelevant. It'll make Matt and I's matchup irrelevant. CJ, good luck to you this week. I've beaten you once. I'll do it again from the home spot. I'm rolling right now. Look out, fellas. Look out. Go Modest.
CJ, I don't know if you have the goods to beat Brandon this week. So what I'll tell you is cycle every day. Brandon wants to lock down this 1 seed. What you need to do is bid high. Really see if you can tempt Brandon to spend some of that cash.
I do.
Say bids no less than $3 a player. Really get in there, hombre. Fuck him up. I believe in you, Siege. You can do this.
I do have $69 with only 4 weeks to go. And let me tell you, I don't know what to do with that much money. I am in a loss. I have never had this much money this late in the season. And, you know, I just might have a cycle spot opening up. You know, we'll see how it goes.
Well, when CJ drops out $5 to pick up Alex Caruso tomorrow, just know you're fucked.
I'm not afraid. I saw you went after Kuz, and I kind of just like, okay, he can have him.
I didn't go after Kuz.
Well, CJ went after Kuz. The funny thing is, he got blocked by Kyle by $1 on the auction report, and then he goes out and spends a 5th-round pick for Kuz and Brown. Like, I get it. I understand. But at the same time, like, he was $1 away from saving a potential 5th round pick, essentially.
Kyle's just eating it up.
Kyle's eating it up. Next matchup, another exciting matchup. Cody at Doug. Now, Doug has just been on the decline. He cannot stop this bullet train. I swear he was 6-2 4 weeks ago, and now he's 6-6, and we have him at the 7. I don't know what's happening. Cody has also been losing since I played him. I really messed him up. I am really sorry, Cody. I didn't mean to do that to you. I didn't mean to get in your head. So for that, I'm going to pick against Doug and pick Cody this week. He might get a little bit healthier, but I'd like to see Doug just be very angry about the situation. I'll pick Cody.
I'm going to pick Doug. Just Cody is really not healthy right now, and Bradley Beal played today.
Yep.
That's a big difference. That's a big difference between having a injured and not playing Justice Winslow on your roster or an injured and not playing Bradley Beal. That'll make the difference. I'm going to pick Doug. He's not easy.
Yeah, I said the same thing when I played him as well. Next matchup, Neiman saved his playoff hopes this week, but he plays Steven at Steven next week. Steven has 2 people, really, Trae Young and Jimmy Harden. Like, I don't need to know that we need to say anything else. I'm going to pick Steven.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Steven, too. He also has Devin Booker. He's pretty good.
Devin Booker is pretty good as well. Neiman's still missing Siakam. Depot is still out.
Played today.
Oh, did he?
I think so.
I thought he was out. Wow, Siakam's back. Hey-oh. Look out.
I think. Maybe I'm crazy.
I thought I saw the O next to his name. And I just looked at his roster because of our trade. So,
yeah, he shot 6 of 17 tonight.
Oh, he's right back at it. Siakam's back at it. Still doesn't matter. Steven.
No, I'm picking Steven.
Okay. Next matchup is your matchup. One that I've been looking forward to since the first round. Oh, my goodness. Simmons has the tiebreaker right now with Joel Gibson. Joel needs to win this week to have a realistic shot at the 2 spot if it becomes available. If it becomes available, you need this win against Simmons. You can't take a step back. My goodness, Embiid is out. Joel is healthy. I'm going to have to say Joel.
Woo! I'm going to pick me as well. A, I just think I'm the better team. And B, it's time to have some motherfucking revenge. We're coming for the 2 seed. Simmons, step out the way. My namesake on your team, he's taking it easy this week. He doesn't want to go against me. We have a non-Joel on Joel violence policy here.
Well,
So,
Joel's out this week. That's off the
what I'm saying.
table.
He's taking her easy. He's not going to do me any harm. I'm not afraid.
Oh my goodness. I just have these nightmares of like you ending up in the 2 seed. Like it's gonna annoy the living shit out of me if after all season you just take loss after loss after loss, and then all of a sudden you go on this monster streak to end in a 2 seed. I will. It's totally absurd. I shouldn't be picking you, but at the same time, Simmons. Remember the golden rule. Spend that money, boo-boo. I think there's going to be a lot of people out there on the wire this week. Simmons, get that checkbook out. Let's see some money. That's all I got.
It's going to be a close one. This one's important.
For sure. And then the last one is nobody's favorite matchup ever in the history of matchups. The 1-11 Kyle is at Eric, the 2-10.
Somebody's got to win.
2-10. Eric is the home team here. So, you know, there are strategies that you could... there are strategies that some people might employ here. I'm just saying, I don't know. But nobody's looking at this box score this week. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, if there was some world where Kyle really wanted to tie up their record, you know, tighten up that race for the 11th spot, I suppose he could do that, but that's not how I see this all shaking out.
Yeah, I mean, snooze fest,
it's
bro.
Eric by default.
Yeah, I am going to pick Eric because he's the home team. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's week 13. There are 4 weeks left. 4 weeks left, and then we're in the playoffs. The playoffs? Talking about playoffs. Outside of that, just great weeks. I am loving it. I am just loving every week. Trade deadline, Friday, noon. And when I say Friday noon, I mean all trades have to be accepted by Thursday noon and completed by the deadline. Completed. Start to finish, all done. Thursday at noon is the last minute that you can accept a trade. Thursday noon. Period.
Thursday noon. It's come. The deadline. Who's going to put up some assets?
Yeah, let's see how it goes. I still have a few if somebody wants to come knock on my door. I am clearly open to overpaying if necessary. I proved it today.
You sure did.
I sure did.
I hope it doesn't work out for you.
Oh, fingers crossed. Fingers are crossed hard. Anything else from you, Joel?
Good luck this week, fellas.
Good luck, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Good luck, CJ.